On both sides of the Atlantic, the picture we are getting of Meghan Markle is a very unflattering one of someone who really behaves like a bully in
Mm.
essence. And Hollywood Reporter is a very heavyweight publication. It's alongside Variety. It's the biggest publication in Hollywood. And I think that they've really done their homework here. I mean, this is a damning, devastating critique of Meghan Markle. Also, of course, Harry doesn't come off particularly well either from this. But ultimately, it's a portrait of Meghan Markle as a frightening, almost sort of terrifying figure for her staff, which is why there's such a high turnover rate of people working for Meghan and Harry. They can't wait to get out, actually.
Breaking right now, Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, do we still have to call her that? And Prince Harry have been on publicity overdrive after that damning Hollywood Reporter article described her as a dictator in high heels and backed up everything that members of the Sussex Survivors Squad, the courtiers operating out of the royal family, had described for many years, including directly to me. So look at them this week, and here's Meghan and Harry, happy families, at the Alliance for Children's Rights. Do you really think this is what Prince Harry wanted to be doing on his 40th birthday? But Meghan needed some positive PR, and goodness me, she did. Because it's not just the Hollywood Reporter who are talking about this story now. Access Hollywood, one of the biggest syndicated shows in America, has taken up the case and is now reporting on the revelations using one of the senior editors from Hollywood Reporter. What this means is that Meghan's criticism by her own staff has now very much gone mainstream stateside, and it takes away her ability to say, this was just the horrible racist courtiers in the royal family. Reaction from Niall Gardner in just 1 minute. Niall Gardner joins me now. Niall, utterly damning. Because you will remember that for a long time, Meghan tried to say this was just an issue with the grey suits, the courtiers in London who just didn't understand now. They just didn't understand her American way of working. Well, not so, according to Hollywood Reporter, who has spoken to these 12 staff members, all American high flyers, who actually say that it's worse.
Yeah, the Hollywood Reporter article is absolutely devastating in its analysis of Meghan Markle's behavior as a boss in the United States. And you have a significant number of individuals who have made it very clear that Meghan has behaved like a real dictator, someone who is a very intimidating, even terrifying person to work for. These reports, of course, are similar to some reports that came from former royal courtiers in London and Buckingham Palace and so on, who had previous interaction with Meghan. And so on both sides of the Atlantic, the picture we are getting of Meghan Markle is a very unflattering one of someone who really behaves like a bully in
Mm.
essence. And Hollywood Reporter is a very heavyweight publication. It's alongside Variety. It's the biggest publication in Hollywood. And I think that they've really done their homework here. I mean, this is a damning, devastating critique of Meghan Markle. Also, of course, Harry doesn't come off particularly well either from this. But ultimately, it's a portrait of Meghan Markle as a frightening, almost sort of terrifying figure for her staff, which is why there's such a high turnover rate of people working for Meghan and Harry. They can't wait to get out, actually. To use that expression from a Hollywood film a few years ago, will get out. I mean, her own staff can't wait to escape from
Yeah,
Montecito. And
totally.
it's really, I mean, this is frightening stuff, actually. People being left in tears and all the rest of it. And so Meghan comes across as a hugely dislikable figure from from this report, and of course other reports that we're getting as well.
Absolutely. And Niall, I think it is really important to clarify that when folk like Meghan's team or members of the Sussex squad say, well, why have these people not gone on the record? They're not allowed to. In the UK, it would actually be going against the Official Secrets Act. So that's really serious. You speak out once you've worked for a member of the royal family in this way, you could end up in jail. And in the US, the belief is that they have had to sign the most draconian NDAs to even step foot through the mansion. So the fact that they are speaking off the record, 12 of them, Niall, I mean, that is really significant.
It's a very large number of people here, and clearly, I mean, the picture painted by the Hollywood Reporter here is of a culture of fear within Meghan's sort of empire, actually, and I think that many of her own staff are now revolting against that. They've left. They've had enough. Meghan Markle, it has to be said, is a hugely narcissistic individual with a long track record, of course, of vicious attacks against the royal family, and in my view, a long track record of outright lies against the royal family. She's someone who was extremely disrespectful, of course, towards the Queen.
Yes.
She spread nasty, allegations against various members of the royal family, and Harry, of course, has done the same thing here, and he is described by in this Hollywood Reporter piece as the sort of enabler of what's happening here. He doesn't stand up, of course, to Meghan, and I think that Harry also doesn't come across in a very flattering way from this latest report. But Meghan Markle has a long reputation, track record of vicious, nasty attacks against the royal family. So it's no surprise that her own staff, frankly, have just had enough of her, dictatorial rule in Montecito.
Indeed. And look, the second part of this bombshell Access Hollywood report, which we'll take a look at now, Niall, actually juxtaposed the claims from her staff members with the comments that she made on her Archetypes podcast, where she was defending the fact that she had been accused of being demanding in the past. I'll get you to react off the bat. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. I mean, grown men reduced to tears, Niall. That is damning stuff.
It really is, actually, and I mean these are basically very serious allegations of bullying on the part of Meghan Markle, and she faced similar allegations from royal palace courtiers as well, who felt that they were very badly treated by Meghan. But she comes across really as an extremely nasty individual from these interviews the Hollywood Reporter has compiled, and I have to say, I do think the long-term damage this will do to her reputation, which is already, of course, very shaky, but I think the long-term damage will be absolutely immense to Meghan's reputation, and it looks as though Harry is doing absolutely nothing whatsoever to stand up to this bullying of staff. And
his tyrannical
very
wife.
sad. It's very sad to see all this, isn't it? I mean, Dan, that we're seeing, Meghan really, in full light here, really, through these exposés, these interviews are revealing exactly what's going on, and it's a very, very disturbing picture that we are seeing, actually. And this is.
Well, yes, but I think, Niall, it's actually
bullying of a very high order.
Indeed, but I think it's actually a big relief, Niall, to the people who worked for her during her time in the royal family, and also for senior members of the royal family, notably Catherine and William, because one of the reasons why Catherine and Meghan fell out in the beginning, I actually reported on it before anyone else, was because Meghan was treating the staff at Kensington Palace so appallingly, And Catherine just wasn't having any of that because she treats staff
Yes.
members incredibly respectfully. So
Yeah.
I think there'll also be now like an element of relief because Harry and Meghan can no longer say, oh, this is just because the royal establishment was trying to do us in. All of these rumours were
Yeah.
fake. Personally, Niall, I think Buckingham Palace should release the bullying report, which is locked up in that
Yeah.
safe. But that's probably not going to happen, is it? But I think it should
They,
be
they,
released.
they should release it. Dan, you're 100% right. They should be made available to the British people, for everyone to see the contents of that report. And I think also, without any doubt here, Meghan Markle should have her royal title removed.
Yes.
And this idea that she should continue as the Duchess of Sussex in the light of these devastating reports, and I think that's ridiculous that she remains a royal. She is using her royal title, of course, to advance her own interests. That's unacceptable. She is supposed to be serving the British people. She only, of course, serves her own interests here, in a particularly vicious and vindictive way. She should not in any way be carrying a royal title. That's an absolute disgrace. That should end, really. I do hope that King Charles will take action. I'm in no doubt that he will have read these latest revelations in the US media, and I'm sure he's taking them very seriously. I hope that he will take action to ensure that Meghan Markle does not continue holding the title Duchess of Sussex. Is an absolute disgrace.
I completely agree with you, Niall. And I have to be honest, I have been thinking about the next step over the past few months as things have got so terrible with Harry putting King Charles in this awful position where he literally wants him to cause a constitutional crisis by overturning the UK government's decision in regards to his personal security, which is just so inappropriate. And I am now in the camp, and I think there's growing support for this within parts of the institution too, for Harry and his children to actually be removed from the line of succession. Now, it would require an act of parliament in order to do that. Do you think that's one step too far? Because I just put to you this, Niall. Of course, we would hate it to happen. But William does continue to fly with his children in planes and helicopters. All it takes, Niall, is one tragic accident, and all of a sudden, the British monarchy is in the hands of King Harry and Queen Meghan if he remains in the line of succession.
I think undoubtedly there's going to be a lot of debate really about the line of succession issue. I mean, I don't see the British government taking any action over this. I mean, not least, of course, a Labour government
Quite
that
woke.
ideologically, I guess, has some sympathy for sort of Meghan and Harry, really. But I do think that there is just a massive contrast between the heart of public service that you see from William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales. You compare that with the selfishness, the narcissism of Harry and Meghan. There's just a gulf of difference between the two. And William and Kate, they live their lives for the royal family, for the monarchy, for the British people. Harry and Meghan are just focused upon themselves, their own personal enrichment. They do not in any way dedicate themselves to serving the monarchy or the British people, which is why I believe that both of them should have their royal titles removed, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. And I'm just full of admiration for William and Catherine and what they do actually for the British people. There's so much that Harry and Meghan can learn actually
Yes.
from William and Catherine. And they are just in different, they're worlds apart in the whole character, heart of service, what they do. And it's very sad to see how frankly, Meghan and Harry have tarnished the image of the royal family, the reputation of the royal family, because of their selfishness and their narcissism, and also the outrageous behavior that we're seeing as well from Meghan towards her own staff, which cannot have any other effect other than I think harming the broader image of the royal family. I mean, her behavior is absolutely revolting, and I think King Charles has got to take action here, and remove the Duke and Duchess of Sussex titles from both Meghan and Harry. I mean, the King's got to lead on this.
Yeah, totally. It's really interesting, Niall, that you talk about the difference in service and approach by King Charles and Prince William and Catherine. And we saw it over the weekend in a way that didn't please many people, actually, including myself, but I do understand it. So here's the front page of the Daily Mirror in the UK today: Royal Peace Gesture. And this is referring to the fact that the royal family did post on its X account a birthday greeting to Prince Harry. Now, there's a couple of interesting things about this, Niall. Firstly, it was a milestone birthday. He did turn 40, so they're saying that maybe that's why there was an exception to the rule. But you will note the picture that was chosen did actually see Meghan edited out. So that seems to be making at least some type of comment. Now, the Sunday Times had reported that Prince William was not going to engage in any sort of birthday wish for Harry. That wasn't the case. He did post on X, or he reposted on X, what the royal family said, with a very simple, short message to the Duke of Sussex. But what was quite critical, I think, now looking at this, is that there was no personal sign-off from William and Catherine. When it's a message that comes from their heart, you'll either see William signing it off with W, or Catherine signing it off with C, or sometimes it will be W and C if it comes from both of them. So it felt like this was a very functionary post, but I guess, would you say this was them rising above the nastiness of Harry?
Yeah, and I think a couple of things, Dan. I think firstly, this was a polite, message sent to Harry. Also demonstrating, I think, a magnanimous approach from the royals, and very magnanimous considering the nasty attacks on the royal family that you've seen from Harry and Meghan in recent years. And I think this was because it's a 40th birthday of a significant event. I think a gesture of kindness being sent by the royal family. Of course, Harry and Meghan, do not deserve any forgiveness, frankly, from the royal family after everything that they have done, and the harm that they have caused. The vindictiveness that they have projected towards the royal family is unforgivable, I think, and I do not believe they should ever be welcomed back in any way as working members of the royal family, and I think that they should be kept out in the cold, frankly. And certainly, we've seen no apology coming from Harry and Meghan after everything that they have done, and that is something they should be doing. They should be apologizing unreservedly for all of their vicious lies and attacks. But we haven't seen any kind of contrition whatsoever from Montecito, and I think that they'll continue, of course, to behave in the manner that they have done, no doubt.
Yeah, no, completely.
Yeah.
They must apologise. One thing I'm finding quite odd, Niall, is the Daily Mail at the moment is very much leading the campaign for Harry to return to royal duties. So they ran a poll at the weekend under the headline saying big rise in support for the idea of Harry returning to royal duties. Now, that was actually pretty intellectually dishonest as far as I'm concerned, because the reality is that 2/3 of Brits still don't want him to return. But do you understand at all why the Mail is going down this path of launching Operation Bring Harry In from the Cold? Because, put it this way, I don't sense any desire from the British people for Harry to return. So I'm not really sure why they're so desperate to make it happen.
Yeah, I was looking actually at the Mail poll there, Dan, and was looking at the British public's approval rating of Harry and Meghan,
Yes.
and that they are extremely low. I think hovering around 20 to 25% for Harry and Meghan in terms of public approval. So the British people do not like Harry and Meghan at all, actually. And that for me was the main takeaway looking at the Mail piece, just how monumentally unpopular Harry and Meghan are. And this idea that Harry would actually return to Britain and actually do any work as a working royal. I mean, if he was invited back, would he actually do anything? I doubt it. I mean, he's one of the laziest figures on the face of the earth, frankly. This idea that Harry would actually perform royal
Totally.
duties dutifully and respectfully. I mean, I just think that
It's
wouldn't happen
laughable.
at all, actually. And I think that most Britons, if Harry and Meghan actually returned to the UK, would be horrified by the prospects. I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, no, I know. I know. Look, I'm completely with you, but there has been more from the Daily Mail over the weekend because they ran a story about the 40 people Harry must build bridges with if his exile is to ever end. And some of those people now just don't want anything to do with him now. I mean, included in the list was Princess Anne and Zara Phillips, her daughter, and that was Zara Tyndall now, sorry. They are horrified by the way Harry has acted towards
Yeah.
family
40 people,
members.
that's a lot of people, actually. And
Yeah.
I mean, it just shows how many bridges Harry has burned
Burned.
actually, with his own family, and you can't rebuild those bridges. And I think also, the endless narcissism of Meghan Markle doesn't help at all
Mm,
for Harry. And she's a very big liability for him
true.
as well in terms of rebuilding anything in the UK. I just don't see this happening. That there's a lot of bad blood, and it's all because of the damage that Harry and Meghan have inflicted themselves. They've only themselves to blame for the fact that they are two of the most unpopular figures in Britain right now. I mean that's
Well,
the
in the
reality. I
world.
mean they're very, very
It,
unpopular people.
in the world, because Niall, just finally, I'm fascinated to know from your perch, because obviously you're a transatlantic guy, of course, British to your core, former Margaret Thatcher advisor, big monarchist, of course, but you are now based day to day in the US. So have you noticed a drop in popularity for Harry and Meghan in the US as well? And what about the royal family itself? In the time since the death of the late Queen Elizabeth II, is there still as much
Yes.
love towards King Charles
Yeah.
and William and Catherine?
Yeah, those are very good questions. So firstly, with regard to Meghan and Harry, their popularity, I think, has plummeted in the United States. I think that most Americans
Wow.
see through them completely, actually. And the latest Hollywood report, or Access Hollywood reports, will, I think, further, I think, undermine the image of this couple among the American people. I think with regard to the royal family as a whole, I think they remain very popular. The Queen, of course, was an incredibly popular figure in the United States. She had an approval rating, I think, 70 to 80%, far higher than any US president, I think, in modern times. That shows you how popular she was
Wow.
with the American people. I think with King Charles, Americans are warming to him. He might not be as quite as popular as the Queen, but I think the American people still have overwhelmingly a positive view of the royal family as a whole. And I think they're warming to King Charles, and I think I do think that Catherine and William are very, very popular figures among Americans. Harry and Meghan, in contrast, are increasingly unpopular, and I think many Americans view Harry and Meghan with tremendous distaste, actually, especially Meghan Markle. I mean, she is very, very unpopular with many Americans. But as for the royal family as a whole, I do think they remain firmly in the hearts of most American people, actually, and I don't think that's going to change, despite all the antics of Harry and Meghan. The American people separate Harry and Meghan from their overall perception of the royal family, which remains very, very positive. And I don't think that's going to change at all in the decades to come. I think the royal family is very close to the hearts of most American people, and I think that will continue.
The panel argues that the latest reporting carries particular weight because of its source. Unlike tabloid speculation or anonymous online commentary, The Hollywood Reporter occupies a respected position within the entertainment industry. Commentators suggest that this distinction makes the coverage more difficult to dismiss as simply hostile royal reporting. They note that the publication reportedly spoke with multiple individuals connected to the Sussex operation, creating what they describe as a broader picture of internal workplace experiences. The discussion emphasizes that the allegations have attracted attention because they appear to echo concerns previously raised by former royal staff during Meghan's time within the royal family. While those earlier accounts were often challenged or disputed, some commentators argue that similar claims now emerging from individuals outside the royal institution have intensified public interest. It is important to note that these remain reported allegations and differing accounts continue to exist regarding the Sussexes' working environment. The conversation then shifts to how Meghan and Prince Harry have responded publicly following renewed media scrutiny. Commentators point to recent public appearances, charitable engagements, and family-focused photographs, suggesting these appearances have been viewed by some observers as efforts to reinforce a positive public image during a period of heightened criticism. Supporters of the Sussexes may view these appearances simply as part of their ongoing charitable work, while critics argue they coincide with attempts to counter negative headlines. This contrast illustrates how almost every public appearance involving the couple is now interpreted through competing narratives, with supporters and critics often reaching very different conclusions about the same events. The discussion also examines how differing narratives continue to shape public opinion. Supporters of Meghan Markle have frequently argued that criticism directed toward her has been influenced by long-standing hostility and unfair media treatment. Critics, however, contend that the emergence of similar allegations from individuals working in different environments makes those explanations less convincing. The panel suggests that one of the most significant developments is the expansion of the conversation beyond royal reporting into mainstream American entertainment media, where discussions of workplace culture often receive considerable attention. Commentators argue that reputational damage, whether deserved or not, can become increasingly difficult to reverse once repeated narratives take hold. They suggest that ongoing controversy may complicate future business ventures, entertainment partnerships, and public initiatives by keeping attention focused on past allegations rather than new projects. The discussion also raises broader questions about leadership, accountability, and how public figures respond when criticism continues to follow them across multiple industries. Whether audiences ultimately accept or reject these reports, the panel agrees that public perception has become an increasingly important factor in shaping the Sussexes' future. The conversation concludes by examining renewed debate surrounding the Duke and Duchess of Sussex titles. Some commentators argue that continued controversy inevitably leads to questions about whether the couple's association with the monarchy benefits or harms the institution. Others point out that decisions regarding royal titles involve constitutional, legal, and political considerations that extend well beyond public opinion. Regardless of where viewers stand on that debate, the continued discussion illustrates how closely the Sussexes remain linked to the royal family despite stepping back from official royal duties several years ago. As media scrutiny continues on both sides of the Atlantic, the broader questions surrounding reputation, accountability, and public trust are likely to remain central to discussions about Meghan Markle, Prince Harry, and the future direction of their public lives.